It's me, Dr. KSD. I am an only child. So for me, ever since I started having kids and got married, I have not had my own space. Especially mamas, you can't even go to the bathroom sometimes without people coming and invading your space. So it was an ongoing joke with me that all of these folks can be as sad and unhappy as they want to be, but I was going to rejoice when I was an empty nester. Don't get me wrong, I always want my kids to come visit, but there's nothing like having your own space to yourself. But I never wanted to be an empty nester sooner than I was supposed to. So Papa's death really threw me for a loop. You see, I wasn't supposed to be an empty nester for another 8 years. So the silence, oh my gosh, the silence was deafening. The silence was so loud that it magnified the fact that Papa was gone. The house was so quiet, it was hard to be there. And so I worked. And when I say I worked excessively. I worked from the time I opened up my eyes until I could barely keep them open at night. That way I could fall asleep exhausted, only to get up and do the same thing again the next day. What are you doing to get your mind off of your grief? The problem with what I was doing is that the minute I had to stop working, there the grief still was. I had accomplished nothing. All I was doing was prolonging the fact that I had to deal with my grief. Whether you're doing things like alcohol, drugs, shopping, gambling, watching television excessively, playing video games, or anything that you may be doing to avoid having to think about your loss. Those are only short-term things. At some point, you are still going to have to stop. And the minute you stop, guess what? Grief is right there. It's like, yoo-hoo, I'm still here. So don't do anything that is going to be detrimental to your life. You're already hurting. I was already hurting. But you know what that excessive work was doing? It was keeping me from my family that I still have here. It wasn't serving a good purpose. It definitely wasn't making me get over the grief any sooner. But those other things, those are things that you might get yourself caught up in that can be truly harmful and detrimental to you. It's so easy to give in to the temptation to just drown ourselves in something excessively so that we don't have to think about the hurt. But I promise you, if you face that hurt head on, you'll be able to get over that grief sooner. As I've said before, the sadness isn't going to go away. I will be sad, and I will not apologize for that. But what I will not do is allow grief to just linger like a dark cloud over my head or a heavy load over my back. You have already lost enough. Don't lose anything else. Not at your own hands, especially. Don't forget, we're in this together, and we will survive this together.